Hello. Good evening, sir, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. So once again, I welcome you all to yet another program, and this time it's Advanced JS. So before we start, right, I would like to know how are you all and what are you guys like doing right now? Or I can say to better start off with, right? How many of you guys were actually following us in the Node.js and have joined today to learn Advanced JS? Can I know in the chat very quickly, right? How many of you guys have followed us from yesterday's lecture? And also, before we go ahead, how many of you guys actually know JavaScript, right? So can we know in the chat if you're joining for the first time, or it is like you are already done some JavaScript and you want to learn advanced JavaScript? So I see a lot of students joining. So we have, wow, we have close to 160 students, and I guess more to join, right? It's all just 3 minutes. Hello, Tanu. Hello, Amit. So, right. So before right jumping, I would like to know that first to understand. Do you actually know JavaScript? So accordingly, right, Sanjay sir can actually help you understand the
Yeah.
advanced steps of JavaScript.
Yep.
Okay, so we have Naveen who was yesterday actually following us on the Node.js.
Mhm.
Today is here to learn advanced Java. So once you clear, yesterday you can actually go right. Once you learn this advanced JavaScript, Node.js will seem pretty easy to what it was looking to you
Yeah.
yesterday. Okay, so this is the first time previous. Okay, so we have a lot of students following us. Great. So let's just start away, guys. So I'll tell you what is the agenda for today. I'm going to explain you first of all what is the actual structure of the program, which you guys have to follow, right? Throughout these 3 days, what are you going to learn? First of all, how to put your attendance and where you can get the required links for the program, right? Which is your community group and how to put how to become eligible for the completion certificate. So yes, guys, you're going to get the completion certificate after this program, but there are a few do's and don'ts which you have to follow. So let's move on to the PPT. So yes, it says like Advanced JavaScript 0 to 0 Essentials program, and it's a 3 days live learning program. So like it is today, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You guys have to join at 6:30 p.m. Okay, and if you guys have not registered yet, right, registration for the program is very mandate. You guys have to go and register for the program first, then only you will be able to put your attendance down and also get the certificate. There's a small exam which we have, which I'll of course show you how to go for your exam certificates and get your certificate copy. But for that to happen, right, registration for the program is very mandatory. So you have to go on LetsUpgrade.in, scroll to your program like that is advanced JavaScript which you're learning right now, and open and enroll now. Right. So I'll show you the whole demo at the end, towards the end, a full demo of how you register, see your exams, and get certified. So second, the first step, as I said, right, you have to go and register for the program. Second is to mark attendance. Now the attendance link will be available in the description below. You can just check there's the attendance link, and the same will be forwarded by the team in the chat. Okay, so whenever you start the lecture, just put your attendance whenever you join and watch the session with the dedication. And make sure that you are putting the same email ID for the registration which you have viewed on the website, and it matches with what you're marking in the attendance. Even if you guys are watching the videos in the recording, right, if you're not able to join for the live session for whatever reason, attendance is mandatory for getting access to the exam. Now, once you complete 3 days of the program, that is today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, on Saturday, right? By Saturday night, you should be getting a mail and a WhatsApp with your link to your exams. So I'll show you the exam portal as well, where you can see the exams and actually go and appear for that. And exam pattern is going to be MCQ, 15 questions, 20 minutes, and you have to score 40% to actually pass and get the certificate, right? So maybe Sunday you're appearing for the exam, by Monday you should have your certificate soft copy. For people who are giving the exam very quickly, okay, so make sure you're attentive. They can fasten the process of getting your certificate copies as well. And again, how to claim your certificate is just you need to go, just let me edit, just we have reduced this on students demand. Okay, so let's go ahead. Yep. Yep. So how to claim certificates? As I mentioned, you have to score at least 40%, and you can go in the certificate section, which is right here in your profile, and your certificates will be available. I'll show you how you can go and actually download it. And again, there's a reward section which you can refer your student, friends, or whoever you are knowing in your circle and get LU coins. LU coins is a currency at Let's Upgrade, which can get you discounts You can also buy merchandise from LetsUpgrade, and you can earn those by simply sharing our free programs with your friends. So you'll get scratch cards. So now let me just check the chat once. Okay. I'll tell you how you can actually go and register for the program. Okay, just give me a moment. Let me just share my screen again. Just give me a second, guys. Yeah. So just let me know if my I'll just sign in. Yes. Yeah. So now sign in as like registering, or if you have already an existing account, as I mentioned, right? Having an account and logging in is very important. Once you are on the website, guys, all you have to do is go down to the program sections, and you will find the program here. Like currently, this is the JavaScript program, right? All you have to do is go and enroll into the program. If the website is still loading, some issue with my net today. Just a minute. Okay, so where's the program? Where's the program? Yep. So now once you click on the program, right, it will take you a whole page where you can actually go and see the what you're going to learn. Okay, what is the duration of the program? What kind of certificate you are going to get. So this is the basically the curriculum if you want to see, right? Execution context, call stack, callback functions, asynchronous JavaScript, loops, promises, fetching data, and a project weather application. So this is basically the, you can say, the summary of topics which are going to learn. So make sure you're attentive in the whole session, right? And all you have to do, this is your, how is your certificate going to look like once you complete the program and give your exams and clarify it. The certificate comes from NSDC and ITM, and of course LetsUpgrade. This you can download. Now enrolling is very simple, as I mentioned, right? You will be having enroll now button at various points. Just hit enroll. It will take few details you have to just put, and it will enroll you. Okay, so now I guess how to enroll in the program is pretty clear to you guys. Can you just give me a confirmation if you know how to enroll? If you have not done first, I am waiting for your answers, guys. Are you clear? So please, if you have not done so, please, first step, as I mentioned, go and enroll for the program. Okay, so now I'm just waiting for a reply, guys, so we can actually, I can tell you, because this is the first thing which many students don't complete. Neeraj, Java's results are already published. Please go and check your email as well. Okay, the Java results are already published, and I'll show you your certificate should be by the time it should be in your profile. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so now let's continue. Once you have enrolled into the program, right, all you have to do is attend 3 days live. Now once you get the mail and WhatsApp for your exam notification, right, you have to go to my exam sections. Okay, you have to go to my exam sections, and like I have a lot of exams. This is my test account. So see, this is how your exams portal is going to look like for all the exams you are a part of. And all you have to do is just go and open any one exam. Now, see, this is demo, and this is how the 20 minutes exam is going to be. It is 15 questions, and the exam expiry is still next, you can say, 2 years. But the more you delay of giving exams, it's just one attempt. The more you delay, your certificates will be delayed that much. So try to attempt it as quickly as possible. Here are a few instructions for the exam, and once you're done, you can actually go and start the exam. Okay, so this is about the exam part. Now once you complete your exam, right, the next step is to get your certificates. As I mentioned, 24 hours after your exam is done, you will be getting a mail for your certificates, and it should be available like this in your profile. Okay, so now it is unlocked for me, but you will have 50 LU coins to be redeemed to download your certificate, and it's a one-time redemption. After that, you can download it any number of times. So once you hit on download, right, it will download the certificate. And if your profile information is incomplete, of course it will take a few information of yours, and this is how your like test and everything, and it will download the certificate for you. Now registration complete, exam complete, certificate complete. Now how to earn LU coins if you don't know, like currently I have 2653. You can visit our LetsUpgrade coins page, or you can just go to refer and earn page. And these are the programs available. These are free of cost. All you need to do is, suppose like now I'm just copying the link, right? I have copied and I'm going to paste it in YouTube. Okay, this is how your referral link is going to go and look like. So all you need to do is share it with your friends, and whenever your friends enroll from your link, you get a scratch card, okay, which is available in the reward section. This is how it is going to look like. And once you like, this is 5 value coins I have, so I can just scratch the whole card and I can get those LU coins. So you can get LU coins for enrolling into a program, and also for referring the program to your friend. Okay, so that is how you can earn LU coins. And at the end, right, we also have a leaderboard where you can actually win prizes for the most referrals done. So currently Shivam Mishra is leading the chart with 529 referrals. For the last 30 days, he is leading the chart. So you can be one of those. All you need to do is go and refer the program to your friends, and you can climb up the ladder. And these are the prizes which we are giving to the referral winners, right? So, and any doubts so far? Any doubts so far before we actually move on to the actual learning and I hand over the session to Sanjay sir? Any queries in registration, exam, certificates? Please ask right away. Yes, you can actually update. See, I'll just wait a minute. See, now when you go into certificates, right? Your certificates, please read this, okay? Where is your certificates will have the email ID, sorry, the name which is mentioned in your profile. Okay, your certificates will have the name which is mentioned in the profile. So if you want to download, so if you have downloaded once and there's some issue in your name which you think you need to correct, all you need to do is go in your profile, update your name, and come back and download the certificate again. Okay, that will solve the issue. Great. So am I clear, guys? The whole process. And then of course, as we mentioned, now you have to learn the whole session, clear the exam, and get a certificate. I guess I have covered all of your issues. Great, no doubt. Great. Thank you for that confirmation. So I'll just pull off my screen and I'll let Sanjay sir is waiting कि मेरा chance आने दो, मेरा chance आने दो. So you're mute, I guess. You're mute, sir. You're mute, sir.
Yes, I was moved. So,
Yeah.
okay, just let me know if I'm audible and my screen is visible and clear.
Yes, sir.
Is it?
Everything is
Okay,
visible. I'll
sir.
just check on how it's looking on YouTube. Great. Everything looks
Yeah.
so far so clear to me. Just a minute before we move ahead, Om
Yeah.
Sengar is asking what is the fees. Guys, this program which I've enrolled and watching right now is completely free of cost for you. Okay, you don't have to pay anything. You have to just, the fees which are actually paying is your attention, okay, towards the program.
Yeah.
No monetary commitments apart from your attention you have to give to this program. Take the maximum, you can say, output out of it, and ask as many questions you can to Sanjay
Yeah,
sir.
yeah, sure.
And he is one of the best trainers. I have been attending his session along with him. Of course, I'm going to sit along with you today as well. So I'll be
Yeah.
representing you guys in the whole session. Okay, so I guess we are good to start, guys, right? So let's
Okay.
start. Over to you, Sanjay sir. I'll be just sitting in the background,
Okay.
and I'll
Okay.
ask
Thank you,
questions
sir.
and please put in the chat.
Okay. So let me just first answer some of the questions that you people are asking in the chat. Um, if you have a basic knowledge, like if you know how to create a function or a variable, that's more than enough to cover this course. So basically, in this course, we will be learning about one of the most advanced concepts, some of the advanced concepts of JavaScript, and sometimes the advanced things are not so advanced. Basically, these are most basic things. How actually JavaScript works. So these are the most advanced thing in JavaScript or in any other language. So this is the case. It's not so advanced. Basically, these things are so basic, but we need to know about these things to work, to become a better developer, not in just a JavaScript realm, also in any programming language that you will be learning throughout your journey. So in today's session, we will be learning about something called execution context, call stack, scope chain, first order function, and a callback function. So I know these terms sound so hard to you, and when I heard them on first time, when I heard them, I was like, oh my god, I won't be able to do this. But bear with me, I'm gonna cover each and every point for you. And if you know about creating variables and function, you're good to go. And I'm there for you to answer your all the questions. So now let me bring my white screen here. So just let me know if you can see my white screen. By the way, in first of all, we want to know how JavaScript actually works, how JavaScript execute our code, like how why function works the way they are, and why like variables works like what they are. So let me just show you an example. Let me just show an example. I'm pretty sure you have seen something like that. If I create a variable called a equals to 10, and if I do a console.log, do let me in the chat what is going to be the answer. So by the way, if you know the answer of this question, so you're good to go. So I am damn sure that you are going to answer the output is going to be 10. And let me just double check it. So let's go over here. And here are the very basic HTML. And I have just connected my JavaScript file to my HTML. So if I go over here, and I can see that I am getting an output of, let me just refresh this thing, the output of 10. Yes, I can see that I'm getting an out of 10. Let me see. Okay. So, but, if I put this variable, if I use this variable a before even initializing or declaring it, even in this case, I'm gonna get an output. I'm not gonna get an error. I'm gonna get an output. Let me just show you that output, and the output is undefined. As you can see, I'm getting an output of undefined here. But if you're coming from any other language, it's going to throw a very huge error that you haven't defined or declared that particular variable. So this particular behavior in JavaScript is called hosting. And throughout our journey, you will be learning about what is hosting also. So if you're going to attend any interview, the interviewer going to ask you a question that what is hosting. So in very layman terms, also in a very basic definition of hosting, let me just go through the JavaScript, Java, Java, script hosting, and here you will find a definition. So hosting in a JavaScript, the default behavior of moving the declaration to the top. So it's basically saying that in JavaScript, if we declare variables like this, it's automatically going to put all the variables on the top. So by definition, this is the meaning of hosting, but it is not the case. There is a very huge knowledge behind this, that how actually it works. So that is the thing that we are going to understand, and that's going to increase, make you people ahead of all the other JavaScript developers that out there. So let's just go through that how JavaScript actually works. So in JavaScript, first of all, let me tell you every function, and I hope you know about functions. So let me just change the color of my pen. So in JavaScript, each and every function have something called execution context. Okay, something called execution context, and we need to know what this thing is. And and again, in JavaScript, everything runs inside everything. Everything runs in JavaScript inside a execution context. Now, okay, I know you are thinking, okay, just tell me what is this execution context. So execution context is a box, basically. It's just a box in which JavaScript keeps all its variables and executes its code. So it is called execution context. Let me just show you. If you run a JavaScript program, okay, if you run a JavaScript program, this blank file is also a JavaScript program, okay. So when you run a JavaScript program, it's gonna create an execution context for your program, okay. It's gonna create an execution context for your program. In this execution context, it's going to store all the variables. It's gonna store all the variables. So it's like a bucket where it's gonna keep all the variables on one side, and this side is called memory part. Okay, for now, just let me just say it, memory part. So in this memory part, it's gonna store all the variables, and after it's gonna store all the variables, after that it will execute code line by line. So let me just show you an example. If I create a variable called var a equals to 10, and if I create a var b equals to 20, so I'm just making a random code, and if I log console.log a plus b, console.log a minus b. So if it is your program, then when you're gonna execute the program, the first thing that JavaScript will do is will trace all your code. It's gonna trace whole our code, and it's going to put out each and every variable. It's gonna put out each and every variable, and it's gonna put all the variables in this execution context, something execution context in the memory part. Okay, in the memory part, and it's gonna save all the variables a, B, but it's not going to store the values. It's just going to give them a memory. It's just going to give them a memory. It's like, okay, there is something called A. Okay, there is something called B in your program. First step it's going to do is it's going to trace our whole program, and it's going to keep bring out each and every variable from our program, and it's going to store it in somewhere in a box kind of thing. And so that JavaScript knows, okay, there are some variables called A, there is a variable called B, and after that, after it stored all the variables, then after that, there is a second part of this execution context. It's called code execution, okay, phase. So in this part, now JavaScript will execute each line of a code one by one in a synchronous fashion and in a single threaded way. So what is this two so hard sounding thing is? So basically, in a nutshell, JavaScript is going to execute our code one by one, line by line. First this line will be executed, then this line will be executed, then this line will be executed, and then this line will be executed one by one. So this is called code execution phase. Okay, I can okay, but according to me, it sounds so easy. But why actually JavaScript do these kind of things? You will get to know these kind of why JavaScript do this whole stuff behind the scene, and it won't let you know that it is doing all this hard work behind the scene. So what is going to be happening if I execute this code? Okay, so execution context will be created in a two-phase process. The first phase is going to be called memory phase, and we are going to store all the memories here, A and B, and it's going to store a special variable called undefined here, because it's just trying to know what are the variables our program have, and after that our whole code will be put out in this code execution part, and then each line will be executed one by one. So first this line will be executed, and as soon as JavaScript encounters this line, okay, now at this particular moment JavaScript knows, okay, so the value of A is not undefined, it's 10, and after that it will execute this line, and it exactly at this line JavaScript will know that the value of B is not undefined, it's 30, and after that it is going to go to this line, that console.log A plus B. So for that purposes, the JavaScript want to use these two variables A and B. So it's going to go to the memory part. So the code execution part will be go to the memory part, bring out the value of A, that is 10, and the value of B, that is 30, and it's going to store, add this thing, and will give us output of 40. Similarly, as soon as JavaScript encounters this line, it's going to go back to the memory part. It's going to bring out all these memories A and B, and it's going to execute the code. Okay, so in just 5 minutes I have told you like how JavaScript works behind the scene. So this is actually case. It's a very small part, but it is a part, and as we are going to move up in the session, you're going to understand about this part more and more, because this is the core part of the JavaScript. So let me just give you an example. So let me just open my VS Code, and let's just go over here. Okay, and inside this VS Code, we have something called console, but this thing is called a console panel. It's like for developers only. So if you click over this arrow and go to the source part, you can see I can see my whole code here. Okay, so you can do that, and we can stop our code execution anywhere in this line. We can stop anywhere in this line. So let me stop my code here in the line number 4, and let's just run the program. So my code is stopped here. So JavaScript have stopped here. It have created the memory part, but now we are stopping the code execution part. Remember, I just told you that we have two parts. One is the memory part, and second one is called the code execution. So here we are stopping our code execution at this line. So this line and this line is got executed. Now we are at this line. Okay. So I'm just showing you an example how to use this source part of our panel. And if I put this thing out, you can see, let me just show you that if you go over here, you can see JavaScript have stored the value of A and B here as the value of 10 and 30. Okay, so let me just stop my code again at a different point. So let me just refresh this thing, and if I stop my code at the first line, at the very first line of my program execution, I stop my code. And if I restart my like code, and if you go over here, you can clearly see here that the value of A is undefined and the value of B is also undefined. And we know the reason, because when we executed this program, JavaScript first traced all our code. So it just read each and every line one by one and bring out all the variables and kept here. So this is the basically that memory part I was talking about. So it kept all the variables here and assigned them a very special value called undefined. Undefined is not equals to null or something like that. Undefined is like it's not defined yet. I know there is a variable called A, but I don't know the exact value of A because the code is not started yet. I have just read the variables that my code had. So that's why it have given these two variables A and B a very special value called undefined. And now if we move one line, okay, so now my code is stopped here in this line. My code has stopped here, but we have executed this line of code. And now we can see that JavaScript has given the variable A the value of 10. But now the value of B is still undefined because we are about to execute this line. We haven't executed this line yet. That's why B still have the value undefined, but A got the value of 10. And if I bring my breakpoint here and execute one line ahead, now we can see that A and B, both the variables got the value. So this is the case. Okay. Now at this particular line, console.log A plus B, here at this line, what JavaScript is actually doing is whenever it encounters a variable, it goes back to the memory part. So it's like it's going back to its bucket and looking for that variable. So in its bucket, it founds, okay, I have a variable called A and the value is 10. So it's going to replace this A with the 10. And in the case of B, it's again going to its own bucket and it's going to put out that value of B and it's going to replace this B with 30. And after that, obviously, JavaScript can do 10 plus 30 and we are going to get the output of 40. So this is all about the execution context. So in a very general sense, we know about this thing. So that's why that hosting thing was occurring. So let me just show you. Let me just show you this thing. So if I go over here, okay, and if I comment out each and everything, first let me know, is it if you understand 50% of what I've said to you, it's a win-win situation for both of us because we are going to understand about more about this concept. So do let me know in the chat if you have understood 50% what I have just told you. Okay, I'm waiting for the chat because my stream is around 15 seconds behind. So memory code, yeah, memory and code, yes. I don't exactly remember the whole terminology. Let me just go through my paper. Okay, so the variable and event and the thread object. Yep, it is not so advanced as I told you. We are going to cover the advanced concept. First, we have to understand the basic things. So in the okay, so basically the thing is in the interviews or wherever you want to get a job, they don't want to know that how many syntax you know. They don't want to know how much things you can do. They want to understand like how deeply you understand the programming language, how deeply you understand your tool, because the okay. So the thing is, okay, so I can see that you people understood. So tough for me, but sir, yes, yeah, Tanu, yes, yes, we are going to work with ES6 only, but we will be also understanding about that ES6, ES5, ES5 and 4, something like that also. Okay, that's very great if you understood. So yes, so I was talking about that because let's just assume that you know about you are a carpenter, okay? So you know how to make that sofa set and something like that. So how great carpenter you are depends how much better you understand your tools. So that's we are like a painter. Developer is like an artist. So how much better you know how to use a paintbrush, it's the more beautiful painting you're going to do. I'm just gonna make some. All the things gonna make sense. Just give me some time. So that's why I'm just teaching you the core part of JavaScript because if you answer these things, okay, so now you know how this hosting works. I'm going to show you how hosting works. So if you give this answer to your interviewer, I'm damn sure he or she is going to be so impressed because I have also given this answer and to your surprise I got placed. So if you now we know that how actually thing is working. So let me just give you a very quick recap. So the thing is, if I execute this program, first step JavaScript will be doing is creating an execution context. Okay, and this execution context has two parts. First part is the memory part, and then the proper definition of this memory part is called variable environment. Okay, so variable environment sounds so difficult type of thing. That's why I don't use these terminologies a lot. So this is that memory part that let me just change my color to. This memory part is called the variable environment. Variable environment, and don't mind my drawing. Okay. So in this variable environment, JavaScript will trace our whole code and will pick out all the variables, and it's going to store in here in the environment variable, and it's going to assign them a very special value called undefined. And that second part, the code part, after it have done all, after it have traced all the variables, then after that it's going to execute the code line by line in the second part, and this part is called thread of execution. Thread of execution. So that's why thread of execution sounds so difficult, but in a nutshell, it's just that JavaScript copy pasted a whole code here and now executing each line one by one. So let's just execute our code line by line. So as soon as JavaScript encounters this line, as soon as JavaScript encounters this line, it knows that the value of a is not undefined, it's 10. So it's going to assign this value 10. And as soon as it encounters second line, so this line got completed, then this line will be got completed, and it's going to be 30. And after that, at this line, it's going to go to as soon as it encounter this line. So now JavaScript want to use a variable and the b variable. So it will go to that memory part, will look for the a and will look for the b, bring out the values and replace a and b with the values. Okay, let me change my color to white. 10 and 30, and it's going to give us that answer. So this is the thing that we have learned. So let's just understand hosting. So what was happening in the hosting? If I do console.log a, and after that I create a variable where a equals to 10. So now let's understand what was happening. We were getting an output of undefined here. Okay, so if I bring this thing down here, we were getting the output of 10. Obviously we were getting the output of 10. Let me just close my debugger, and if I go to my console panel, I'm getting output of 10. So okay, so obviously I'm getting output of 10. And why I was getting output of 10? Because first JavaScript traced all the variables, it got only one variable, it assigned it value of undefined. Okay, this was the memory part, basically environment variable environments. Okay, and after that it's going to execute the code line by line. At this line, JavaScript came to know that the value of a is not undefined, it's 10. And at this line, JavaScript want to use the variable a, so it will look for that variable in the memory part and will log us the value of a, and the value of a is 10. But in the other case where I have replaced these two things, what is actually happening? So in this case, let us execute our program. Okay, so in this case also, JavaScript is going to create this execution part. Okay, and it's going to create that variable environment. It's going to store. Okay, so it found out there is only one variable called a, and it's going to assign this variable a value of undefined. Okay, now it knows, okay, there are no more variable left in our code. Okay, there are no more variable left in our code. So now it will start executing our code. So at the very first line of our code, JavaScript want to use the value of a. JavaScript want to use the value of a at the very first line. So what it will do? It will go to the variable part and look for the variable a. So it found the variable a, and see what is the value of variable a here. It's undefined because we haven't executed this line. We are on the first line, and JavaScript want to use the value of a. So it's going to go to that memory part. It's going to look for that variable a, and it just found out that the value of a is undefined. So it just logged out undefined here. So that's why we were getting undefined. Okay, and after that, after this line was completed, after that we got to come at this line, and now after here JavaScript came to know that, okay, so the value of a is not undefined, it's 10, but the damage has been already done. We got the output of a undefined at the very first line. So this is the hosting is behind the scene. So that this is the logic how JavaScript is showing us this behavior. So do let me the what is console.log rechagar. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you. The screen is not visible clearly. Sir, can you compile and show me the answer? Okay. Variable environment is basically RAM memory. Yes, Naveen, you can say it like this. It's like the memory part. So I think you're coming from any other language. That's why you're saying that. Uh, okay, so let me just go through. So let me know in the chat. Now you understand why JavaScript is behaving like this. So until you are answering me, let me just go through the chat. So understood, sir. Really very easy. Yes, it is very easy, but most like 95% of the JavaScript developer don't know about these things. Okay, if you're going, if you don't believe me, okay, just go to a JavaScript developer and ask them a question like what is hosting is. I'm damn sure they are going to answer that thing is like the default behavior of JavaScript is to put all the variables at the top level. So they will give that definition. They won't be able to just tell what is the natural behavior, why this was happening. So, okay. Tabraj is asking TypeScript or JavaScript. Look, if you want to learn TypeScript, you have to know about JavaScript because TypeScript is a little bit more featured version of TypeScript. Okay, JavaScript. Sorry. So TypeScript is whole JavaScript with some extra features. So if you know about JavaScript, you're very good to go. You can go and learn TypeScript. So it's not like that you can directly jump to TypeScript. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help you in most of the fields. So first you have to understand about the JavaScript. Okay. So in the for the interview, so I have answered. Okay, so the Neeraj. So the question was actually like, what is hosting? So I answered this exact thing. I explained this thing. So that's why the interview was so impressed. And okay, is there a function so it will be hosted? Yes, I'm gonna tell you about the functions also. Just give me 5 minutes. Vaibhav, actually, the thing I was doing here in JavaScript, we don't compile the code. So I can understand in programming language like C or C++, we first have to compile our code. But JavaScript don't use compiler; it use interpreter. So I will also let me just explain you that what is a compiler and interpreter. So there are two type of language in the world. So I'm just giving a quick recap because it was not intended to be in the course, but I just felt like I should explain this because one of the students asked question. So there are two type of languages in this world, basically three. There are three type of languages. First type of language like C or C++ uses compiler. Okay, so the compiler is like it going to read all the code. It will convert all the code into a binary language, and after that our program is going to be executed. Okay, so in the case of compiler, a whole code will be executed at once. Okay, and there are two second type of languages called that uses interpreter. So in the case of interpreter, each line of the code will be executed one by one. Okay, not whole code will be executed. Each line of the code will be executed one by one. So as you can see, JavaScript uses interpreter, but that is not the case. JavaScript uses compiler and interpreter together. So that's why JavaScript is very special because it uses compiler and interpreter together. So it will going to execute all the code line by line, and also it's going to be compiling up the code behind the scene. So this is a complete different story. I will explain you these kind of things in the whole session in my whole class. Okay. Okay, so Mohammed, what is the use of console.log? So the use of console.log is to get the output in the terminal. Okay, so the use of console.log is to get the output in the terminal. So this is the use. If you're coming from any other language called like Python, there we use print. Okay, in the C we use printf and something like that. In Java we use system.out.println. So similarly in JavaScript we use console.log to get the output in the terminal. That's all. So console means that console part in the browser, and log means logging out the things. So let me clear out everything and let's just go to the chat. So, okay, just let me know if you understood. Yes, JavaScript synchronous or asynchronous. We are going to answer this question on the second day. So we are going to answer this question tomorrow. Yeah, Tanu, we are going to understand the scope chain also because it's, as you can see, we are going to cover execution context, call stack, scope chain, scopes, and first order function, a lot of things. Are three languages or translators? So Neeraj, I don't actually understood what is the question. Just okay. So first of all, just let me know in the chat if you understood each and everything till now. Why is hosting is important for JavaScript? Naveen is asking. Basically, it's the way JavaScript works. So each and every language have a different way of working. So the developer of JavaScript, the team that work behind the JavaScript, opt to use the JavaScript in this way. And the reason is like JavaScript is intended to work in the browser. Okay, and the web browser, this whole browser, JavaScript runs in this web browser, and our web browser have some kind of limitations. So we were wanting, like back then, they were wanting a language that is going to be so powerful and that could work inside a browser. So that's why they opted these kind of things. JavaScript does not act as hosting. Shibu, yes, just repeat your question. Three type of languages. I'm just giving an example. So like we have a three types of language like C++ that uses compiler. Then we have languages like JavaScript that uses interpreter. So there are a bunch of different type of language, and we were focusing on JavaScript right here. So let's move to the next topic. And the next topic is not only the variables are hosted. So if I create a variable called a, okay, if I create a function, okay, function say my name. So I'm creating a function here, and the function is going to do console.log hello. So it's going to execute. So in this case also, what is going to be happening that okay, the end. Okay. So in this case, let's just recap, and don't recap. Let's just go through our code again. So in this case, again, that part, that the memory part is going to be executed. Now, I just want to tell you one more thing, just one more thing, that while that memory part, not only all the variables are stored in this memory part, also all the functions will be also stored here in this memory part. And the difference is, that this whole function will be pasted here. That whole function will be pasted here. I will show you. Bear with me. I will show you this. So that is the case that we can do something like this. So here I have defined the function. Okay. Here I've defined the function, and now I'm calling my function. And obviously we are going to get the output hello. Okay. I'm getting the output hello because I'm defining a function. I'm defining a function called say my name, and after that I am calling my function. So I'm getting that output of hello world. But what if I call the function first and after that I define my function? In this case also we are getting the output. And if you're coming from C++ or something like that, I know your minds are blown, because in any other language, it's going to throw an error that you haven't defined say my name function. It's going to say that no, you can't do this. But in the case of JavaScript, we can. Why? Because in that first part of memory creation phase, what was done, that in this memory part, JavaScript also stored this variable here, okay, the say my name, and it also is copy pasted this whole code. It copy pasted this whole code here. So that's why when we encountered this line, in the code execution part, so here JavaScript want to execute this function. So JavaScript will go to the memory part and will fetch this function and will execute. And let me just show you this thing. So if I go over here and let's just go to our source part, and let's just stop our code execution at the first line. So here I am stopping my code execution, not that memory part. We cannot stop that memory part. We can only stop the code part. So remember, we have two parts here, the memory and the code. So this is the code part that we can stop. So if I stop at the very first line and if I refresh, and if you go over here, so as you can see, let me just go down and let me just rename this function to a function. Okay, a function. I'm just renaming my function to a. Why? Because so that we can get this thing, because that all the things are ordered letter wise, so we will will be easier to find this thing in that memory part. So if I go over here, let's refresh this. And as you can see, see here, we got whole function here. Here we have the whole function. As you can see here, we have the whole function. Even though not even one line of code is executed, we have stopped our code at the very beginning, but we still can see that here we have a function. And let me just show you one more thing. If I log out the console.log a, so I'm just trying to log out this function. Okay, I know it seems very uneasy, but we can do this. So if I do this, you can see in the console panel we will be getting. Let me just go through here, and if I just go to the console part, okay, if I just go to the console part and I just refresh, okay, if I just refresh, and let me just stop that breaking point. So let's just go over here and let me remove my breakpoint. Okay, and just refresh. Okay, let's come over here. Let me remove this. So we can see we can access the whole function. So as you can see, if I just console log a, if I console.log a, here we are getting our whole function. Here we are getting the whole function. So function also get hosted. So this is whole about hosting, execution context, and each and everything. So the in a nutshell, what you should take from this part of our session is that before even executing one line of code, JavaScript will trace our whole code, and it's gonna find out all the variables that has been defined in our program, and it's going to store all the variables and also all the functions here. The only difference between variables and function is in the case of variables, we are going to get a special value undefined in the place of actual value. And in the case of functions, whole function will be copy pasted. This whole function will be copy pasted. That's why we were getting this output. We were getting this output when I tried to log out this function, even though I have defined the function afterward. And if I just completely remove this thing, then we will get the error. Then we will get the error. So now we are getting error. Let me just use a different browser, Firefox. Okay, so Firefox basically have a stronger console panel. That's why for some part I use Firefox for my debugging. So if I go over here and in the console part, we can see it's throwing us an error that a is not defined, because a is not defined here. But as soon as I define the a, I'm getting the whole function here. So this is the case. This is all about hosting and all about execution context. And do let me know if you just understood 50% of the thing that I have told you. It will be a very huge victory for both of us. Just do let me know. What if the variables are encountered in the function? And just give me 1 second. Okay, just Akram, just give me 1 second. I'm going to cover that part. Okay, let me just go to the console.log. Let's just cover our second topic here now. Okay, sir, instead of where, can't we use let and const, and what is the difference between them? Okay, King. So your question is like, what is the difference between where and let? Okay, where and let. So basically, let me just give you a very small answer because it's not in the actual course, but I will still answer you that this is not a very good thing to do. Basically, this thing. If I do this kind of thing, console.log a, so this is not a good thing to have. Yes, we know how JavaScript was working behind the scene. So, but it is not a very good thing to do, because the problem with this thing is, let me just close this. Okay. Where to close this? Okay. Okay. Huh. So it is not a very good thing to have, because this can cause unnecessary errors. So JavaScript in the version ES6. So JavaScript also have some versions, just like your phone, just like your apps. All the programming language also have versions. They also keep evolving. So in the version ES6, JavaScript introduced a special way to declare a variable called let and const. So the only difference between let and const is that, in a very basic terminologies, that most of the people are going to answer you that these let and const do not get hosted. But this is not the actual case. In the case of let and const, we cannot do this kind of thing. So okay, so in the case of let and const, it's going to throw us an error. It's going to throw us an error. If I go over here and refresh it, okay, it's 5500 55003. So in this case, I'm going to get an error. In this case, I'm going to get error. If I just use let and const instead of that where, I'm going to get this error. cannot access A before initialization. So they just improved, but still they work say in a same way. The only difference is that let and const are hosted in a different way. They do not get hosted like where they hosted in a different way. So the correct answer would be const and let are hosted in a different way so that they cannot be accessed before initialization. So this is the correct answer. But there is obviously there is a huge picture behind this, and I will try to explain this. Just give me some time, because initially it was not intended in this course, but I can see most of your people ask about this question a lot. So I will try to explain this part also if time allows. But don't worry, we are going to cover a lot of great things. I can see the chat here. Okay, let me refresh. I think I lost my chat. So let's just cover the second part. Okay, let's just cover the second part, that what is this call stack? What is this call stack? So let me just give you one example here. What if we declare inside a function? Yes, I'm Santosh. I'm going to answer that question in the context. Okay. So now I'm going to tell you one more thing about execution context, that each and every function have a execution context. So now your question will be, then why JavaScript create a execution context at the very beginning? So your question will be, if I do like this, where a equals to 10, or where a equals to 10. So now we know that first JavaScript will be creating an execution context. So the actual thing is that each and every function. So if I create a function called sum, okay, so it's a function, and if I create a variable called b equals to 20, and if I try to console.log a, okay, b, sorry, if I just try to console.log b here. So now the thing is what JavaScript will be doing. Let me just call this function sum. Okay, now it's going to be very interesting. Okay, just look at me, it's going to be very, very interesting. So now we know that first it's going to create an execution context. Okay, so what it's going to do, it's going to store, okay, it's going to memory part, and it's going to be the code part. It's going to keep this variable a here, and it's going to copy paste this whole function here. Okay, now we know that. Okay, so now it will execute this code line by line, and here we will be having undefined. So line by line our code will be executed. Okay, sorry. So now line by line our code will be executed. So now what is going to be happening in this line, our this undefined will be converted into 10. Okay, at this line nothing going to be happening. Okay, this line is it's going to be skipped completely. And when it's going to call, okay, now we are calling this sum. Okay, at some point of time we are calling this function sum. So what JavaScript will do, it will go to this memory part, it will pick out this function, and then it will execute the function. But we want to know how the function is executed. Actually, JavaScript will create our execution context again. It's going to create an execution context again just for this function, just for this function. It's going to create an execution context for this function, for some function, and it's going to do exactly same thing. It's going to traverse all the functions that were defined inside this. So b will be stored here, adds the value undefined, and here it will store, it will execute all the thing that is written inside this function. In the code execution part, it will execute the whole code inside the function line by line. So at the first line, where b equals to 20, so now the value of b will be 20, and at this line it is going to go back to the memory context, memory part, and it's going to log the value of b, that is 20. And after the execution of function is completed, after the execution context, after the execution, like after this function got executed, it's going to remove this execution context, and it will come back to the this execution context. So that's why each and every function, so if I define a function again here, if I define a function here again, ABC, and if I call the function ABC, as soon as JavaScript encounters this line, it will create a brand new execution context just for this ABC, just for this ABC. And it will execute the function, it will read the lines, and after this function got executed, it will delete this execution part, this execution context, and then it will encounter this line, this sum part, and for this it will create execution context again. So the catch is that for each and every function, we have an execution context, and a better way to say it like each function have an execution context. So your question will be, then why we have an execution context in the global? So why we have an execution context here? It's not a function. It's not a function. And I have just said that each and every function have a execution context. Each function have a execution context. Then why this thing have a execution context? Because behind the scene, we are not writing our code in a very plain way. We are not writing our code like this. Behind the scene, we are having a function called global. We have a function called global behind the scene. Global. Okay, so here we are having a function called global, and we are writing our code here. We can't see that function. We can't see this function. We are writing our code here. So that's why we have our execution context. And what actually JavaScript is going to do, it's going to call this global function. So this is how our code actually exists. And we can't see this global function. It is behind the scene. So we are writing our code in this way. We cannot see that global function. As you can see, I'm not able to see that global function. And let me just do this. Okay, let me just remove that global part. So we are writing our code in this way. So JavaScript is wrapping our whole code inside a function. That's why we are creating one execution context, because each and every function have an execution context. So this is the thing. This is a very deep thing. So now, if somebody asks you how a function executes or how JavaScript runs, so your answer should be like that. Each and every function have an execution context, and actually that execution context is what that got executed. And why we have that global execution context? Because we are writing our whole code behind an invisible function called global. So I can also show you that global function. If we go over here, and if I just go to our terminal, and let's just go to the source part, and let's go over here, and let's just stop our code at the very first line. Let me remove this thing. Let me remove everything, and let me just paste this here, and let's just refresh. So you can see we are having this global. So you can understand this thing is like, so we have a global function that got executed line by line. So now how JavaScript actually manages to run these so many execution contexts one by one, how it manages to execute them. So for that, JavaScript have something called call stack. So call stack is nothing so hard to understand. So call stack in a very one line. So let's suppose, let me make a function called function A. Okay, function A. And here I will have a variable called where OK equals to OK. Okay, let me do OK. And if I just console.log OK after it, OK. And let me just create another function called B. Okay, another function called B. And let's just execute A and then B. Okay, so what JavaScript is doing, you know what? It has something called a stack. Let's just first understand what is stack is. Have you heard about book stack? Okay, so book, you keep your books on the top of each other, isn't it? So let me, if we have a book, if we have 5 books, so first we will keep this book, and on the top of this book we have another book, then we have another book, and then we have another book, and then we have another book. This thing is called a stack. Yes, actually this thing is called a stack. The stacking up the things. So this is called a stack. So in a stack, there is a property of a stack that if you want to pick out a book, you can only do it from the top. You cannot directly bring this book. Yes, you can do, but don't do this. You can drop all the books, but the only possible way is to bring out a book is from top. Okay, is from the top. So first we will remove this book, then we will remove this book, and then this and this and this. So this is called the stack. And if you're from a computer science background, I am damn sure you have heard about first come for last out, FIFO, LIFO. I was not very good with my computer science degree, but I know that this is the case. No, I was good. I'm just kidding. I got 9 pointer, so I'm not flaunting anyways. So what is going to happen here? JavaScript have something called call stack. And what is going to be doing? It will be creating an execution context, the first execution context, global execution context, and it will put this global execution context in this call stack at the very bottom. So we have global execution context here. Okay, let me just do this. We have a global execution context here. Global execution context. Okay. After this, each line will be executing one by one, something like that. As soon as it encounter this line A, it's going to create an execution context for A, and it will put it on the top of global. Okay, because we can put execution context on the top of each other, obviously, because it's a stack. And after this, if when the function A got executed, it's going to remove the A execution context from the stack, and it will come back to the global execution context, and then we will encounter this line, and it will create an execution context for B, and it will put that execution context on the top of that execution context. Okay, global execution context. I know you're so confused because so much of execution context. But in a very nutshell, what is actually happening is it maintain a stack. Okay, it maintain a stack, and it just bring things inside the stack and bring out things out of the stack. That's the and this thing is called call stack. So if somebody asks you what is call stack, your answer should be JavaScript maintains a call stack to manage its execution context. That's all. So this is all about call stack in a very general way. So so just let me know if you are getting all the things. If you're just getting like 50-60% of the things, it's very good, because we are going to cover these things again throughout the lecture. We are going to cover these things again and again. Okay. Yes, it was first come last out. Yes. Okay. LIFO. Yes, I know FIFO. Yeah. Got it clearly. Okay. So that's a very once a function has finished, the yes, Naveen, you're doing it correctly. Naveen Patel have answered the thing why it deleted the execution context just to save up the memory. So Naveen basically is saying that once the execution of a function got completed, so here we have a global execution context, and here we okay, and at this line it created an execution context for the A, and once the function got executed, then it's going to remove this execution context. Why? To save the memory. Okay, because our laptops and our devices have a limited memory. Your mobile phone can have 8 GB of RAM or 16 GB or 4 GB, but it's a limited memory. If we just keep storing the things in the memory, your memory can like fill up, and your device will crash, your app will crash. That's why it's very important to have a call stack where we can delete the things, we can bring the things. So it's to manage our whole code. So this is all about the call stack. Okay. So that's a really very good thing to know. Now we are going to cover the next part called the scope chain. And bear with me, it's going to give you a edge over all the developers. Okay, the scope chain and the lexical scope. And I'm going to make it very easy for you. Just now, we came to know that we have something called call stack. So let me just show you an example. If I do something like this, okay, if I do something like this, so let me just clear this. Okay, here we have a function called A, and we are executing the function A. And if I declare a variable where b equals to 20, and if I try to console.log, okay, d. So answer me, please, somebody can answer the output of this program. So just answer the output of this program, and for a surprise, the answer will be 20. So let's just go over to our panel, and if I go over here, and if I just refresh, we are getting output of 20. Obviously, we are getting an output of 20. But let me show you a cool thing. If I just remove the part, and if I just keep this variable b outside of the function, if I see the output, we are still getting the output 20. We are still getting the output 20. Okay, and let me do one more thing. If I define a variable b here, and we give a variable value of 40, so now we have variable b two times, one inside the function and one outside the function. And let's just guess the output. Okay, so just let me know what is the answer of this program in the chat. Okay, just do let me know. By the way, just answer me, and so till then I will just go yes 20. Okay, yeah, answer is going to be 40. Yes, but why it's going to be the answer output is going to be 40? We are getting output 40 because of that call step. Yes, I know it sounds so unrealistic. Why? Because of call stack we are getting this kind of output. Because just give me 2 minutes. So in this case, just understand we are executing our code. So in the first part, we are going to get the memory part. In this memory part, this whole function A, this whole function will be stored. This whole function will be stored. Okay. At this line, when code was executing, at this line, a very new execution context will be created for A. Okay, for A. This one for global, and this one is for A. And in the memory part, in the code part, in the memory part, it will traverse all the variables inside the function A, and we will get, sorry, B. Okay, here we will get B, and the value of B is undefined. And after that, the code will be executed. These two lines will be executed. At the first line, the value of B will be 40, and in the second line, JavaScript want to use the value of B. Okay, JavaScript want to use the value of B inside A function. So it will look for the value of B in the memory part of the execution context of A, and it will show us an output of 40. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's very nice. But we can see this in another way also. We can see this another way also, in the way of call stack. So if I do like this, so first of all, we had this global execution context. Okay, the global execution context. Here we have memory, then we have code, and here we have a function. And as soon as it encounter the A line, we have created another execution context, and we put it on the top. So here we have a here, and the memory part and the code part. And in the memory part, we have this value B. In the code part, we have something like this. The code was executing here. So it was looking for the value of B here. But you know what? B is lexically inside the global scope, that global context. And what I'm saying, like, what is this thing is, the fact is, A have the access, okay? So A have the access to the memory part of itself, also to the memory part of all the things, all the execution contexts that are at the bottom part of the A. So it also have access to the memory part of all the execution contexts that were on the down part, basically. So this is called lexical scope. So it is saying that A is lexically inside that global part. Okay, so this is basically, I think it is a Greek term, lexical. So if something is inside of something, we say that it is lexically inside of that. So it's like if we have a bowl and we have a ball inside that bowl, it is a good way to say that the ball is lexically inside that bowl. So no, don't need to memorize these things. The fact is that A have access to its memory part, and also to the memory part of all the things that are at the bottom part of that stack. So that's why if I define a variable here where C equals to 10, and if I try to log out the value of C, I can access this thing. Why? Because at this line, JavaScript will look for the value of C. So it will go, first of all, it will go to its own memory part, and we cannot find the value of C here because it don't have value of C. Then it will go down, okay, and then it will go down, and it will find the value of C. It will find the value of C at the bottom part of that call stack. So that is called the scope chain. That's all. In a nutshell, this is called the scope chain. That's how we are getting this output. First, this thing will look for the variable inside this thing. And if we don't get the value, then it go up and look for the variable outside of that function. This is the fact. This is the lexical scope. This is how actually JavaScript do this kind of thing. So just do let me know. And honestly, this is all about scope chaining and the, okay. Let me just go. Sir, I didn't get one thing. If we declare a variable out of the function globally, how it can access while we are calling the function as a name? If we declare a variable out of the function, okay, globally, okay, then how it can access while we are only calling the function named A? So, okay, Neeraj, I think I have answered your question. So if we are doing something like this, this function will look for the value here. and as soon as it can't find the value, it will go up. Basically, it's not going up, it's going down. Okay, so if you say it like that, it's going down to the lexical scope. Okay, it's chaining down. So it's chaining down basically, but visually it seems like that it's going up, but actually it's going down. So here we have A, and then we have that global part, and at this global part we have this C, and it can access that C. So this is the answer I think that we're looking for. Okay. Okay, so lexical is hierarchical. Since A is on the top of the global call stack, it will access to, yes, yes, exactly. Okay, what you are giving correct answers. Okay, so Naveen has have understood each and everything, and I'm very much impressed. Like if your people understood even 50% of the thing, because these things are so difficult to understand. I know when I used to learn these things, it was around 4 to 5 years back, and we don't have any proper teacher. Nowadays, you have a team like us that who are working hard for you. But I'm not bragging thing, but you don't understand how much difficult it was for us to understand, because we don't have so good teachers, and there was only books or something like that, and we used to refer those books and something. Okay, so now moving to the next topic, and our next topic is called first order function and a callback function. So just the whole thing of call stack, scope chain, execution context is complete. Now we are moving to a completely different topic called higher order function, or basically callback functions. Okay. So if you're coming from any other language, I know you're going to be a bit worried. So because it's JavaScript don't act like a normal language, because JavaScript is not a normal language. JavaScript is a language which can work on browser, mobile devices, computers, on servers, on IoT devices. JavaScript can run everywhere. So that's why JavaScript have to be powerful. It should be different from any other language. That's why the behavior of JavaScript is a little bit different, because it have to run on very limited resources. That's fine. Okay, let's just understand about what is callback function and what is first order function first of all. So in JavaScript, functions are treated as a value. So if I create a function called fun, okay, and console.log hello, okay. So I can what I can do, I can pass a parameter. So I can call function with a value 100, and I can use this variable here. Okay. I hope that you don't have doubt related to this. And if you go over here, and we are getting an output hello 100, and I can even write my name here, Sanjay. So you will get output hello Sanjay here. So we are passing a value, basically a value, a string or a number inside a function. But what if I say that you can also pass a function inside a function? So you can pass a function inside a function. Let me create another function for you. Function C, okay, or to pass, okay, function to pass, and console.log, console.log, I was passed, okay, I was passed, something like that. And we can pass a parameter, a function as a parameter. Okay, so, and if I just console.log, okay, if I just console.log a, now in my terminal, I'm getting the whole to pass function. So I'm getting this whole function because I have passed this function, this whole function to pass as a parameter to this function. So this is called first class function. So that's all. So in a first class function, we can pass a function inside a function. Also, a function can return a function. That will be also doing that. But now we can see that a is a function. That's why we are getting this output. So what we can do, we can execute the a, isn't it? A is a function. Yes, a is a function because we have a parameter called a, and a parameter got a value of function. So we can execute this function. So as you can see, I'm getting an output called I was passed. This thing was executed inside another function. So this is called first order function, because as you can see, the functions are behaving like a variable. We are passing a function like a variable. So that's why. And a function can also return a function. Let me just show you that example also. If I create a function called fun And inside this, I can create another function called test. Okay, test, and this function is going to console.log test, and I can return this function. Okay, I can return this function. I can return this function, and we can store. Okay, just let's don't return a function for now. Let's just return 100. Okay, const okay equals to fun. Okay, so we can use the var here, or let or const var. For now, I'm using var because we are using var till now. And if I console.log okay, console.log okay, we are going to get output of 100, obviously, because we are executing this function, and this function is returning a value of 100, and we are logging out this 100. So that's all. So this is the function, but there is a catch that we can also pass a function, return a function. Let me just create a function here, test console.log test, and let's just return this thing. And now if I console.log, as you can see, we are getting this output. Our OK contains the value of this thing, this function. And as you can see, this is a function, so we can execute OK. So we can execute OK. And we are getting this function, this thing we called here. So this is called the first order function, higher order function to be exactly. It's called higher order function. And this is the whole logic behind the callback function. So do let me know if you understood this thing, that we can pass a function as a parameter and we can return a function as a parameter. Do let me know in the chat if you understand this thing. Okay. Not understood, please explain first class function. Okay. Okay. So Harish Sharma have given us a code. Let me just copy code this, and I will do this thing afterwards. Okay. How to access the global variable with the same local variable. Okay, we are going to cover all the things tomorrow. Because sorry for the late. Okay. Can we nest a function inside? Yes, we can do. We can nest a function inside a function. How to access the global variable with the same local variable? We cannot do that. Okay, for that we have to use this. For that, okay, there is a guy called Santosh Kumar. So let me answer his question, even though again it was not intended to be. But if I create a function called fun, okay, inside this, if I have a variable called a equals to 10, and if I just console.log 10, okay, and if I execute function, so I'm going to get the output basically 10 here. Okay, but the question he is asking, that what if we have a same variable called a 100, okay, 100, and he want to access the value of this 100. Okay, he want to access this value of 100. So we cannot do like this, because in this case, as soon as JavaScript encounter this, it will look for the variable here, and if we don't find here, then it will go up. So for this, you have to use called this dot a. So it's a different advanced topic. So this thing will help you, and by using this, you can access the value a here. Okay, so I've just answered your question. Okay. I installed the function by for that you can go to the console. Okay, so let me just write my code again. Okay, just give me a second. I will tell you how to do that. Okay, if I do like this, and go for that, go to the source part of your console. Okay, and here you will get all of your code, and you can stop your code anywhere you want. You can stop your code anywhere, and you have to just do a refresh. Okay, okay, just give me 1 second. Okay. Let me just start my video. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So, okay, so this is the case. This is how you can stop a function. Sir, set time would also explain. I have time. Okay, this limit the scope within the function. No, Naveen. Basically, this is a completely different topic, Naveen. It's related to this is a complete keyword, but I've just given you a quick way. So basically, yes, this thing is called higher order function. So now let's just understand callback function. So callback function is exactly same thing. Callback function is exactly same thing, that you can create a function fun, and you can pass a function inside this function. So let me just create a parameter function. Okay, parameter fun. I have creating this fun, and now you can execute this function inside here. And if I call fun, and if I create another function to pass console dot log, I am a callback. And if you pass this thing here, and does it look familiar? We have done this thing just now. We have done this thing just now. So actually, this thing is called the callback function. So this is called callback function. So this thing is called callback function. That's all. So that's why I told you about that higher order function before telling you about the callback function. So this is all about callback function. So we can pass a function inside a function, and this function will be executed by the function that it got passed to. Like this is my okay, so this is all I can say. But as you can see, we have passed a function inside a function, and it is called callback. And by also we can call this functions are higher order functions, because you can treat a function like a variable. So okay, so that's all. We have covered almost everything that we have to cover today. And no worries, we are going to cover a lot of great things tomorrow. And also we are going to give, I am going to give you a quick recap on some more cool things to know about this thing. Let me just remove. Yeah, okay. So we covered execution context, call stack, a scope chain, first order function, and a callback function. So we have covered everything. Okay. Okay, Karthike. Yes. For now, for the today's session, just review this video. Okay. So Suraj Singh Rajput, we are going to use callback function in the tomorrow's lecture. So everything that we have learned today, we are going to use in tomorrow's lecture. Okay. Yeah, sure. That is the case. Yes. Okay, Tanu. And what is so? Okay, so that's it for today's lecture. And whatever we have learned today, we are going to use them in the tomorrow's lecture. Okay. So please don't forget to come in tomorrow's lecture, because tomorrow's session is going to be so fun. Because tomorrow we are going to use everything that we have done, so that these concepts will get more stronger in your heart. Okay. And for those who found this lecture fast, no worries, don't worry. Just go through the video one more time, and I'm going to give you a quick recap, and also I'm going to explain everything tomorrow. And I will try to be slow in the tomorrow's lecture. Okay. Yes, we are going to build a project by using asynchronous JavaScript. Okay. So okay guys, so that's enough for today's lecture, and thank you for joining, and thank you for giving me time. And I hope I have utilized your time, and you like you have learned something that other people don't know, something that makes you a better JavaScript developer. So that's it for my side, and I will see you in the tomorrow's lecture. Okay, bye bye, and have a nice night. Okay, good night.